Win streak on the line last night, hosting the Utah Jazz. First quarter at the AT&T Center. Wagner, great. Jordan Clarkson, that's 3. Jazz lead 2019 early. Unfortunately for the Spurs, that is how most of the night would go. Clarkson scoring 23 on the night, and that would be enough for the Jazz, beating the Spurs 110-104. San Antonio went on an 8-0 run with 22 seconds left after Spurs head coach Greg Popovich emptied the bench, but Clarkson sealed the deal. A pair of free throws. Clarkson, who is from San Antonio, did so minutes after confronting a fan sitting courtside in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, San Antonio went 7 for 26 in the second quarter, failing to make a field goal for 5.5 minutes. Spurs point guard DeJounte Murray missing his second straight game. He is in the league's health and safety protocols. San Antonio had scored at least 110 points in the previous 10 games, longest such streak since 11 straight in 1984.
One of those nights, or we just didn't shoot well, or 3 and 4 nights, whatever it might be. But overall, it's a good game for improvement, understanding how we have to play and what this is all about. So I'm actually pleased. Always a silver lining. So the Spurs, like I always say, it is a long season. Next up, we are hosting the Miami Heat tomorrow night, 7:30. Also tomorrow night, Oklahoma will represent the Big 12 in the Valero Alamo Bowl. Sooners holding their practices at the University of Incarnate Word. Freshman quarterback Caleb Williams replacing Spencer Rattler in the Red River Showdown. Remember, he rallied the Sooners to win 55-48. I'm sure if you're a UT fan, you remember that very well. So this season, Williams threw for more than 1,600 yards, 18 touchdowns. He also rushed for 400 yards and 6 more scores. On the other side, at Trinity University, the Oregon Ducks practicing there. They are representing the Pac-12 in the Alamo Bowl. The Ducks will be without some 30 players, well, mainly because of injury, transfer, opt-outs, or other unknown reasons, as reported by 24/7 Sports. 17 of those players on defense, which could make it tough for the Ducks to stop that Sooners offensive attack. Oregon taking on Oklahoma tomorrow night, 8:15 at the Alamo Dome. Here's the thing, Oklahoma is favored by 7. And you were saying you had a lot of friends in town to see the game?
Yeah, I'm excited for them.
Are you like a bandwagon Oklahoma fan right now?
No, I
No horse.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair. All right, 442, 68 degrees out.
Well, still ahead, robocalls are sometimes hard to stop, even though there's a new law that has reduced the number of calls you can actually get. We'll show you some other ways to stop the spoof calls.
Plus details on a new TikTok trend where self-diagnosis videos are leading teens to believe they have a rare mental health disorder that they're unlikely to get.
There's a disturbing rise in teens on TikTok who are self-diagnosing themselves with rare mental health disorders that they probably don't have. ABC's Ariel Reshef reports this morning in GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, experts warning about what they call a troubling trend on TikTok that could leave some teens believing they have a serious mental disorder. Some videos listing possible signs to look out for and encouraging viewers to self-evaluate. 18-year-old Samantha Fridley says she was convinced she was suffering from one of those conditions.
I remember just seeing these videos like on my For You page about just like people saying like, oh, here's signs you may have this disorder. Like it was like bipolar or like borderline or all these different like rare disorders I've never even heard of before. And my mind like would just be like, like maybe I don't have just depression and anxiety, maybe it's something else.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll talk to one expert who says these videos can pose an alarming risk. With your GMA First Look, I'm Ariel Reshef, ABC News, New York.
Well, chances are you probably get those annoying robocalls fairly often.
And as 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz tells us, there are some simple things you can do to make them call less.
Your phone rings. You think maybe it's a call I've been waiting for or a friend calling to catch up. But instead, you hear this.
If we don't hear from you, then we will be forced to take legal action against you.
Peo Cuevas says he's stressed out from getting so many robocalls.
I don't know why these people have my number.
It might not feel like it, but robocalls are actually on the decline. 4.1 billion calls were placed in October. But a recent deadline imposed by the Traced Act requires carriers to certify that they're using something called stir-shaken technology.
Stir-shaken is designed to help identify spoofed calls that use fake numbers to trick you into answering the phone.
Those calls are labeled as a risk or blocked altogether. The service is free, and there's nothing consumers need to do to take advantage of it.
But there are even more steps you can take to help you avoid as many robocalls as possible.
Whitelisting only allows calls from people in your contact list. You can search online for directions to install the tool on your Apple or Android phone. The downside? You risk missing calls from a doctor's office or a delivery person whose number isn't stored in your phone.
There are also third-party robocall blocking apps, and those can help.
Some of those apps charge a fee, while others offer a free subscription or a free trial. If you use a free trial, just be sure you cancel before the trial is over if you don't want to be charged a monthly fee.
Press 1 now if you wish to extend or reinstate your car's warranty.
Depending on your phone and carrier, you may need to manually activate your phone's call blocking services. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
Always a car warranty.
Yeah, I hate robocalls. I might have to look into the apps, to be honest.
I just block.
That's fair. What about you, Katie Blake? Issue with robocalls?
It has been really bad lately, like within the past month or so, at least for me. And I turn on the option on my phone to have them silenced, but then they still all show up in your call log, and some of them leave
It's always from like
voicemails.
a really obscure town in Texas that you've never heard of.
Yes.
I'm like, wait, does that? And then I have to Google it. Like, does that actually exist?
Yeah.
Like.
It's so annoying. I've had some from South Dakota as well. I don't know
Shout out South Dakota.
what that is from, but big thumbs down to the robocalls. For sure. Big thumbs down to the humidity, too. That may be what you're thinking. Here's a look at yesterday's high temperatures. Another big spread in temps across the area because of the cloud deck that slowly eroded as we got into the afternoon hours. With more sun, it got up to 86 in Cotulla and Pleasanton, 77 at the airport, 71 Hondo, and then some 60s from Eagle Pass up to Uvalde. That's the difference that the clouds can make. We will have another cloud deck that will be slow to erode this afternoon, so we'll likely see another kind of spread in our afternoon highs, likely the difference from mid to upper 70s to low to mid 80s across the area. South winds 5 to 15 miles per hour, and by this afternoon we will see mostly sunny skies, and you'll notice today and the next several days more high thin clouds moving in from the south and from the west, but still plenty of sunshine to warm us up by this afternoon. We are cloudy now. Skies are gray, just a couple degrees shy of 70 at the airport. High humidity, but we're not dealing with fog around San Antonio this morning. Not much of it anyway, because the winds haven't relaxed much overnight. They're still about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Even places like Gonzales, even Rock Springs, wind speeds are closer to 15 miles per hour. Fog, for it to really set up and become dense, we need lighter winds, even calm winds. Now, interesting what's going on in Rock Springs, a 16-mile-per-hour breeze, but visibility is down to 0. So if the humidity is high enough, fog can still set up. But the concern for any dense fog this morning is likely to be well west of I-35 in and around San Antonio. We should be okay thanks to that breeze hanging on. We've got a lot of clouds out there, and you can also kind of start to see off to the south and west some of those high clouds that will be filtering in today, and you'll notice them as the low clouds clear out this afternoon. We've actually got a low pressure system building off to our north with a cold front attached. That is not the strong cold front that will cool us down this weekend. That's still several days away. But there is a dry line attached to this low. And what a dry line is, it just separates very moist, humid air from dry air. The dry air is off to the west. The humid air is off to the east. And that's the air mass that we're sitting in currently. And things will stay muggy today. But we start to see a bit of a change late Wednesday into Thursday. Notice this dry line tries to dip down to the Highway 90 corridor late Wednesday into Thursday. That's going to create a spread in our dew points by Thursday. So some of us, especially along and north of Highway 90, will likely be treated to a drop in humidity on Thursday. If you're down to the south, especially closer to the Gulf Coast, your humidity is likely to stay a bit higher. But some of us will get a brief drop in humidity on Thursday. By New Year's Eve Friday, humidity shoots right back up. It will be another warm, muggy day, and then more changes, much more noticeable changes, kick in this weekend with our strong front. Look at our dew points by January 2nd, January 3rd. They'll be down in the teens and 20s. So our strong cold front is still on track to move through late New Year's Day, the cold air will settle in by January 2nd. We're looking at a 20 to 30 degree temperature drop from New Year's Day to January 2nd. So the cold air is coming, but it's still several days away, and we'll have to get through a few more days like this, warm and muggy for your Tuesday, similar tomorrow. And then that slight drop in humidity could give us a break from the morning clouds and dampness Thursday, but it'll be right back by Friday. These changes this weekend, guys, are going to be very noticeable, and San Antonio could see its first freeze Monday morning. So Sunday night, Monday morning.
It's crazy from 81 to 34.
Yeah.
That's just so South Texas.
Yep,
you know?
that's a good way to put it.
Katie Blake.
Thanks, Katie.
4:53, 68 degrees out.
Well, up next, a look at why movie audiences are super excited to return to Wakanda next year.
Look at that. All right, taking a look at those lotto numbers. Pick 3, 0, 5, 1, Fireball 6. Daily 4, 3, 6, 0, 4, Fireball 8.
Cash 5, 10, 11, 19, 23, 27. Texas two-step, 13, 20, 31, 33. Bonus ball, 28. And here's that Powerball that was over 417 million. 36, 38, 45, 62, 64. Powerball 19. Power Play 2. I did not win, Max.
You didn't win?
Nope, I checked my ticket this morning.
That's why I showed up to work.
Exactly.
Good morning and welcome back. A special look at the first film written and directed by actress Maggie Gyllenhaal.
For the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Jason Nathanson.
It's one of the most critically acclaimed movies of the year, getting a bunch of awards nominations. The Lost Daughter, the first film written and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Her husband, Peter Sarsgaard, is one of the stars, telling me watching his wife get so much praise is awesome.
You know, when it screened at Venice, I remember several people who came up to her and they feel that need to say, you did something to me. I'm thinking, I'm feeling, and I you know, and just that is the real reason why we do it.
The Lost Daughter also stars Olivia Colman and Dakota Johnson. It hits Netflix on Friday. Today on HBO, it's a celebration of comedian Bob Einstein. Everyone from Steve Martin to Jerry Seinfeld to David Letterman and more, telling the story of the Emmy-winning writer and performer's life and career in the Super Bob Einstein movie. Seems audiences are super excited to return to Wakanda next year. The sequel Black Panther: Wakanda Forever tops Fandango's list of most anticipated blockbusters of 2022. The online ticket seller polling customers. Wakanda Forever is expected to hit theaters next November. And happy birthday to a screen legend, Denzel Washington, turning 67 today, while another legend, John Legend, is 43. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
All right, time now, just about 4:58, 68 degrees out.
Still ahead on GMSA, there's new guidelines on when people can leave isolation after contracting COVID-19.
And can you guess what the top Google searches were this year? We're going to reveal them, the top 5, coming up in Tech Bites.
All right, Stephen Cavazos is off this morning for some well-deserved vacation, but just taking a look outside on the roads, things looking pretty clear as of now this morning. If you're going to be getting out and about soon, remember, take your time, be safe out there.
Live from KSAT 12, Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
This morning, police are looking for a suspect who may have fled in a black vehicle after shooting 2 teenagers. Good morning, I'm Alicia Barrera, and coming up, we have the latest from police.
I'm ABC's Emwin in Washington. The CDC is issuing new guidance for asymptomatic patients of COVID-19. That and how Omicron is spreading rapidly across the nation. Coming up.
And taking a live look out of the Alamo City, hot and humid to start your Tuesday morning. It is the end of December, but when will it start to feel like that? We're going to check in with Katie Blake in just a few moments. But for now, good morning. It is Tuesday, December 28th. Thank you so much for starting your morning with us. So after the marathon of the workday yesterday, what'd you end up doing?
Well, I had way too many espresso shots. So I was like, I'm going to drink 5 today just because I was like extra tired from the holidays. I don't recommend anyone do that. I was like up all day.
Did you make it outside at least?
Yes, I was outside. I went to walk. It was beautiful yesterday. If you don't mind the warmer temps, but honestly, it's kind of like those spring fall temps, Katie, and I don't really mind them.
Yeah.
Shorts, t-shirts, you know?
I mean, some people don't. I remember many a Christmas growing up in the Houston area being in shorts and flip-flops. And, you know, it's not always a bad thing. Some folks don't like the cold. That's what I love about weather. There's a little something for everyone, and we do have a little something for everyone in the planning forecast. Wait till you see it coming up this half hour. Let's start with a look outside. It is gray again, so not much change at all from yesterday. Gray skies to start. We will see the clearing again this afternoon. It is humid, but with a decent breeze hanging on, we're not seeing really any fog at all around San Antonio or Bexar County. And we're good up I-35 to New Braunfels. A little bit of patchy fog is starting to pop up more west of 35. We do have some pockets of dense fog across a portion of Edwards County and there near Carrizo Springs down in southern Maverick County. So if you're well west of 35, keep in mind you have the best chance to run into some dense fog this morning. And a dense fog advisory will be in place for areas west of 35 from Gillespie County all the way down to Maverick County until 10 o'clock this morning. So do keep that in mind if you'll be out on the roads across a portion of the hill country in our westernmost counties. Low 70s off to the east of San Antonio. We've got some upper 50s across a portion of the hill country. It's 59 in Rock Springs, but most of us feeling very warm for this time of year. Our average highs this time of year are in the low 60s, and we are warmer than that first thing in the morning. So still unseasonably warm for much of the week. Our cool down does not arrive until the weekend. So upper 70s today. Once the morning clouds clear out, we will see a good amount of sun this afternoon, along with some additional high thin clouds that will start to filter in. South winds 5 to 15 miles per hour for your Tuesday. So we are starting off in the mid to upper 60s here in San Antonio this morning. It is going to continue to be pretty balmy all the way through New Year's Eve morning. The first morning of 2022, but look what happens by Sunday morning, even Monday morning of next week. There's our cold air and potentially the first freeze for the greater San Antonio area early next week. We'll talk more about this strong cold front coming up in just a little bit. Max.
Thank you, Katie. New this morning, 2 teenagers in the hospital after a shooting on the city's south side.
Police were called out to Kinsborough Park, located just inside Loop 410 on the 300 block of Phelps Boulevard. Our Alicia Barrera is live from the area. Good morning, Alicia. What do we know so far?
Good morning. Well, I want to tell you about the area that we're in. We're in the city's south side. We drove around the neighborhood and on that main street. It's not very well lit. And as you know, in these cases, witnesses are crucial, so that make it a little tough. In this area, this park, it's a city park. It's closed between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. But these victims, these teenagers, were out here around 1:45. Here's what we know about them. They're between 16 and 19 years old, so very young. Police tell us that they were out here, again, 1:45. That first victim was shot in the back of the head. Moments later, the second victim was shot in the back. Police say it's not clear if it was 1 or 2 suspects, but at least one person got in a black Kia Soul and took off from the scene. At the scene, officers said the victims had to be taken to BAMC Hospital. The one shot in the back of the head is in critical condition, as you can imagine. That second victim is listed in stable condition. But exactly what were these teenagers doing at the city park during closed hours so late in the night? Well, that's something that investigators this morning are still trying to piece together and are likely to go speak to those victims at the hospital. Reporting live from the city's south side, Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Alicia. New this morning, the CDC issuing new guidance about isolation times for those who test positive for COVID-19.
ABC's M. Nguyen is in Washington with the latest.
Cases of the Omicron variant surging across the nation, casting concerns over fast approaching New Year celebrations. The U.S. now averaging more than 206,000 new COVID-19 cases each day, a number that has more than doubled since Thanksgiving. The CDC updating its guidance for asymptomatic Americans who test positive for COVID, cutting the isolation period in half from 10 to 5 days, then wearing a mask around others for another 5 days. Dr. Anthony Fauci telling CNN.
We want to get people back to the jobs, particularly those with essential jobs, to keep our society running smoothly.
Other health experts echoing that sentiment.
I think this is a terrific move. There's really no reason why we need to be isolating people for 10 days anymore. I think we have very good evidence that most people, particularly those who are vaccinated and boosted, are not contagious for that long.
The wave of new COVID cases prompting a rush for testing. Long lines, some lasting hours, spanning blocks. In some cities, maxed out sites. Children's cases are rapidly climbing as well. Nearly 200,000 more kids tested positive for COVID last week, up 50% since the start of December. This includes 13-year-old Sebastian Irecheta, his mother saying she regrets not vaccinating him.
When you're sitting there and you're looking at your child and you don't know if they're going to live, you don't know if they're going to make it, it's such a struggle to see.
Meantime, Dr. Fauci also suggests it might be time to require proof of vaccination to fly domestically, saying it's not only safer that way, but it also might add another incentive to get more people vaccinated. Emwin, ABC News, Washington.
And speaking of the pandemic, here's the latest COVID numbers in Bexar County. Important to note, though, these numbers are from the Department of State Health Services, not from Metro Health. The state counts both confirmed and probable cases, so it is reporting 957 new confirmed cases or probable cases, 259 people in our local hospitals, 81 in the ICU, 37 on ventilators. Metro Health will go back to reporting our local numbers on Monday.
The Salvation Army needs your help to reach the Red Kettle campaign goal. They've raised $350,000, but their goal is $500,000. The money raised will go towards programs that benefit the needy in San Antonio. If you would like to help them reach this goal before the end of the year, you can give a cash donation on their website. You can also mail a check to their headquarters on West Elmira Street.
All right, local high schools trying to combat an EMT shortage impacting our area by training seniors. So students at the program at Edison High School can become certified EMTs by their graduation date. The program's in the second year at Edison. Students in the class need to pass the prerequisites. They need to complete 150 classroom hours, 48 hours on an ambulance, 14 hours in an emergency room. So if they pass the state certification test at the end of the year, they can walk off the stage and walk right into a career.
We can help feed those shortages by offering the kids the program here, and then they go right out and get the jobs.
A similar EMT program with Northside ISD has seen about 100 students complete the program, half of them entering the field. Edison High staff hope to do the same with their program. Time now is 5:09, 68 degrees out.
Still ahead, a first look at Motorola's third iteration of the must-have phone from 2004.
Is that the Razr?
I think so.
Whoa, and next, how you can get free ice cream and goodies from Santikos just by rolling up your sleeve.
Rolling up long sleeves today if you're outside. 68 degrees. It's going to be another warm one. Doesn't feel like December. Katie Blake says we can expect things to cool down as the New York rings in. She'll explain when we come back.
Welcome back. It's a problem we've been talking about for months, if not years. The South Texas Blood and Tissue Center battling low blood supply levels.
And although they have hosted several events this month, they have not met their goal. The Blood Center needs to see about 200 more donors a day to be able to rebuild and sustain its blood supply. Blood is needed in many situations, including to help trauma victims, for surgeries, and for cancer patients.
Right now, the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center has about a 2-day supply or less than 2-day supply of overall blood and less than a half-day supply of type O blood, which is the blood most used.
The Blood Center says it will continue to host drives and offer incentives. They have partnered with Santikos and will be hosting blood drives this weekend. And next month, the center will be giving away free ice cream and shirts when you donate.
Plus, you save lives. So
it's very important. Yeah.
Time now, 5:14, 68 degrees out.
Still ahead, Google unveiling the top 5 searches for the U.S. for 2021.
Plus, here we go. Former NFL great Peyton Manning getting into the virtual reality trend. Okay.
Did you know there are surfaces in your home that look clean, but a closer look shows there are often layers of invisible dirt left behind? Try Mr. Clean Magic Eraser for a deep down hygienic clean. Magic Eraser removes the messes you can see, as well as more of the dirt and grime you don't. All you do is wet, squeeze, and start erasing dirt and grime all around the house. And try Magic Eraser Sheets for a deep clean in hard to reach places that you can toss when you're done. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser for a deep down hygienic clean all around the house.
I lost 26 pounds and I feel incredible. With the new Personal Points program, I answered questions about my goals and the foods I love. I like that the WW Personal Points plan is built just for me.
Start the new year with 3 months free. Join today at WW.com. Hurry, offer ends January 3rd.
Had enough?
No, arthritis.
Here, Aspercream arthritis.
Full prescription strength. Reduces inflammation. Thank the gods.
Don't thank them too soon.
Kick pain in the Aspercream.
In today's Tech Bites, Motorola is reportedly working on a new version of its foldable phone. There are a few details about the third-generation Razr, but it's expected to feature better processing power and a more user-friendly interface. Motorola revived the Razr in 2019 and improved on it last year. And taking a look at the year in search, according to Google, the most popular subject for searches in the U.S. in 2021 was the NBA. Also in the top 5, Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, and the late rapper DMX. But this news might be overshadowed by TikTok displacing Google as the world's biggest website. Finally, Peyton Manning seems like he could suit up again. The Hall of Famer tried out a virtual reality quarterback simulator and delivered some perfect passes. The simulator is used for quarterback training. Meanwhile, Tom Brady's still out here doing that in real life. Those are your Tech Bites.
Big bird.
That's pretty good. Going back to the Motorola, did you have a Razr?
No, I did not. I had a flip phone and the indestructible Nokia, the brick.
Nokia brick. Katie Blake, do you have a Razr?
Yep, I had a pink one.
Nice.
Okay, but did the screen crack like super easily?
Oh, yeah, I probably didn't take very good care of it. So probably. Man, that takes me back. Yeah, I had the hot pink one. You had the choice between black and hot pink. And of course, all the girls wanted the hot pink.
Naturally.
Good times. Nostalgia. It is another humid morning, but the fog once again today, just like yesterday, is at its most dense well west of I-35. So visibility is looking good in San Antonio and Bexar County. Also good down to the south in Atascosa County. Good up I-35 in New Braunfels as well. But areas west of 35, there will be some patchy, dense fog through mid to late morning. So just keep that in mind if you'll be hitting the road west of San Antonio. Here in town, we are looking at another warm and humid day. High temperatures will be back in the upper 70s today after the morning clouds give way to afternoon sun. We'll call it mostly sunny this afternoon, but you'll notice some high thin clouds around today. That'll be the difference from yesterday. South winds 5 to 15 miles per hour through the course of your Tuesday. Now, we do have changes on the horizon, not necessarily through the work week, but as we start 2022, Saturday, New Year's Day does appear to be another warm day, but it will be our last warm day for now before the strong cold front arrives that we've been talking about for the past few days. So look at the difference from Saturday to Sunday this weekend. Afternoon highs, upper 70s, low 80s Saturday to start the new year. And then that strong front comes through late in the day Saturday, and that puts us in the 50s by Sunday afternoon. So you can kind of keep the short sleeves around all the way through New Year's Day, but you'll definitely want to have the jackets and the sweaters back out by January 2nd. And just to kind of put temperatures in perspective here, you saw we're going upper 70s, low 80s all the way through Saturday. Our average highs this time of year should be down in the low to mid 60s. So we're pushing 20 degrees warmer than average for this time of year. Now, by the time we get to Sunday and our highs are down in the 50s, that'll be about 10 degrees below average. So here we are, South Texas. We just got to be kind of one extreme or the other every now and then. 68 now at the airport, 70 Pleasanton, 54 in Carrizo Springs. All across the board, our air temperatures are pretty close to our dew point. So Carrizo Springs, your air temperature is 54. Your dew point is also 54. So that's why we're seeing some fog set up generally west of the I-35 corridor there with some lighter winds. We talked about this last half hour. We'll catch a bit of a break with the humidity as we get into Thursday. So I'm jumping ahead just a couple days here. It'll be muggy again by New Year's Eve on Friday. But then as our strong front moves through Saturday, our dew points will tank into the teens by late this weekend into early next week. So some dry air coming with this front, but also some much colder air. And here's a look at how this is going to play out. So we've got a very cold air mass across the northern tier of the country and into Canada. Temperatures right at 0 Casper, Wyoming, and about 15 below in Cut Bank, Montana. That cold air mass will stay off to the north for the rest of the week, all the way through New Year's Day. So our afternoon highs will be staying in the 70s and 80s through the first of the year. But then that cold front comes through late in the day, New Year's Day, bringing with it a much colder, drier air mass and also windy conditions for your Sunday. So here's how New Year's weekend plays out. New Year's Eve during the day, another warm and muggy day. late in the evening through the overnight hours, partly cloudy skies, not terribly uncomfortable, but we'll be holding on to some humidity Friday night. Saturday, most of the day will also be warm. We'll start to see our humidity fall with the front moving through, and then 40 Sunday morning, only up to the 50s Sunday afternoon. So I know some folks are itching for some cooler weather. It is late December, eventually early January. So we'd like it to feel a little bit more seasonable. That is coming, but again, it's here at the end of the planning forecast, so we'll have to wait several more days, guys.
All right, Katie Blake, thank you so much. 522, 68 degrees out.
Well, still ahead in your morning spotlight, a look at the latest trailer for The Batman.
Go.
Plus a first look at the most anticipated films of 2022.
Welcome back. Time for a look at the top headlines from the world of entertainment.
Here's CNN's Douglas Hyde with today's Hollywood Minute.
The Bat and the Cat. It's got a nice ring.
Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman is front and center in the new trailer for The Batman. New footage from the film shows the budding relationship between the two costume characters.
Who are you under there? What are you hiding?
Selena, don't throw your life away.
Don't worry, honey. I got 9 of them.
The Batman also stars Robert Pattinson and takes place during the Dark Knight's early years fighting crime. It opens in theaters March 4th.
2020 was a hard year for all of us. It's been a year of the pandemic, so much change.
However, it's a moment to really remind ourselves of what really matters to us, which is each other.
The Fab Five return this week, and this time they're in Austin, helping 10 Texans in need of a little self-care after enduring some tough times during the pandemic. All 10 episodes of the new Queer Eye season drop Friday on Netflix. Wakanda forever! The online ticket-selling portal Fandango asked thousands of ticket buyers which franchise films they were most looking forward to next year. And it turns out many of them are in the mood for Marvel. Black Panther Wakanda Forever topped the list, followed by Part 1 of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. In Hollywood, I'm Douglas Hyde.
I'm so behind on all the movies.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, Wakanda Forever and Batman.
Batman.
I'm Batman. 527, 68 degrees out.
Well, still ahead on GMSA, even though some medical experts say the Omicron variant isn't as potent as others, why it's still filling up children's hospitals around the country.
Plus, why it may be more beneficial to invest in Legos than invest in gold.
And we're counting down the biggest weather events of 2021.
It didn't end well for 2 teenagers visiting a park overnight on the city's south side. Good morning, I'm Alicia Barrera, and coming up, we'll have the latest details from police.
68 degrees starting off with another muggy morning at 5:30. Katie's in for Mike. She says, don't fret if you want cold weather. Just wait until next year.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday, and thank you for starting your morning with us. 5:30 this morning, 68 degrees, and you're right. Just have to wait till next year, Katie Blake.
I don't know if that's a dad joke at this point. Like, hey, everything's happening next year.
See you next year.
Well, this is the one time in the year where we can make that joke.
That's true.
We're
so funny.
Got to take advantage of it.
Really make the most of it, yes. Yes, it's another unseasonably warm morning. 68 at the airport now. It's 65 in Comfort, 64 in Hondo. The humidity is still there as well. That'll be there to greet you as you head out the door today. We've got a decent breeze out of the south, especially around San Antonio and Bexar County. Winds about 5 to 15 miles per hour, 12 miles there in Canyon Lake, a 16 mile per hour breeze in Kerrville. So that helps just a little bit, keeps that humid air moving along. And the breeze also prevents a lot of dense fog from developing. So around the metro, things are looking pretty good. We are starting to see a little bit of patchy fog popping up across a portion of Kerr County. Their visibility is still okay, 2 miles in Kerrville, but it does look like some fog is starting to develop there in western Bandera County, but things are just fine across Bexar County. We do have some pockets of dense fog setting up west of 35. That's where the fog is likely to be most dense through about 10 o'clock this morning. So the Weather Service has put out a dense fog advisory for Fredericksburg, Gillespie County, all the way through Kerr, Bandera counties, Real County, and Lakey, down to Maverick County and Eagle Pass. Again, that will be through about 10 a.m., so keep that in mind. If you'll be getting out on the roads, if you do encounter some patchy, dense fog, make sure you use those low beam headlights. Today, it will be another unseasonably warm day. We're going to be sounding like broken records here, essentially for the rest of the week. Morning clouds giving way to some afternoon sunshine, a few more high thin clouds around today than what we've seen the past couple of days. More of the same through tomorrow. So we'll be talking about the same kind of thing on Wednesday. Morning clouds, afternoon sun. The only real change through the end of the work week will be a dry line stalling over the area Thursday. That will drop humidity for some of us, and we'll talk about that coming up. By New Year's Eve, warm and muggy once again, but that's ahead of our strong cold front on tap to arrive late in the day Saturday, cooling us down big time by January 2nd of 2022. We'll talk about this and much more coming up in the full forecast. Guys.
Thank you, Katie. New this morning, an overnight shooting ends with police searching for at least one suspect who they say drove off in a black vehicle.
The vehicle was last seen at Kingsborough Park, located just inside South Loop 410 on the 300 block of Phelps Boulevard. Our Alicia Beretta is live from the scene of that shooting that left 2 people hurt. Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning. Well, things here pretty calm in comparison to how they were around 1:45 this morning. Those victims, again, very young, between 16 and 19 years old, and exactly what they were doing here at that time, investigators are still trying to piece that together. So we know that both of those victims are in the hospital recovering from gunshot wounds. One of them is in critical condition. Here's what police have told us so far this morning. The police will likely go to speak to those victims once they're stable to piece this case together. Police say the victims were at Kingsborough Park around 1:45 this morning. It's unclear why, but police say at least one suspect shot the teens from the back. One victim was shot in the back of the head. We know he's in critical condition. The second victim was shot in the back. He's listed in stable condition. Both are recovering at BAMC Hospital this morning. And again, the ages of those victims between 16 and 19 years old, but exactly what they were doing at a city park and why did the suspect shoot them? Investigators, again, trying to piece that whole story together. Meanwhile, here, that park, again, we mentioned earlier, it's supposed to be closed from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., but right now, when we drove in, that gate wide open, the area not very well lit, and exactly where that shooting happened in this park, it's a huge open field that's still being determined. Reporting live, Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Alicia. Now to the latest in the pandemic. Medical experts continue to keep a close eye on the highly transmissible Omicron variant of COVID. All of this in the midst of the busy holiday season.
And as CNN's Britt Conroy reports, children's hospitals are getting prepared in case it gets worse.
On the heels of holiday celebrations, heading into the new year, Omicron is spreading. Cases are rising, and now more kids are getting hospitalized with COVID-19. And we're closing in on the record high for pediatric hospitalizations set in September. In Houston, children's hospitals say they're getting ready for more kids with COVID to fill up beds there. With one pediatrician saying, "I think we are going to see more numbers now than we have ever seen." An attending physician and infectious disease specialist at Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital in Chicago says case numbers there are 3 times as high as the hospital's previous peak last December. In Cleveland, the director of pediatric infection control at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital says effective monoclonal antibodies, a life-saving treatment, is in short supply. State data shows New York City pediatric hospitalizations increased 5-fold over a 3-week period. And in D.C., the infectious disease chief at Children's National Hospital says close to half of the COVID-19 tests that they're doing are coming back positive. But it's not just these cities. Nationwide, on average, pediatric hospitalizations are up 35% in just the past week. Hospitals are bracing for a busy January as health experts continue their vaccination plea.
All done.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
And sticking with COVID, new numbers show that 96 NFL players testing positive for COVID just yesterday. That makes for a total of 106 players who have been put on the league's reserve COVID list since just Christmas. The NFL is announcing a booster mandate for all eligible NFL league office staff, as well as club Tier 1 and Tier 2 personnel. On January 12th, that mandate will extend to members of the media applying to cover the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. Now, media members providing coverage at team facilities will also be mandated to get the booster.
In New York City, it's crunch time for workers getting the Times Square New Year's Eve ball ready to ring in 2022. This week, workers are checking each of the 32,000 LED lights in the 12,000-pound crystal ball. It's a true labor of love maintaining and caring for all 2,600 Waterford crystal triangles that cover it. 192 new crystals have been added, reflecting this year's theme in 2020. Here we go. In 2020, I was like, wait, we're about to be 2021. 2022. Oh my gosh. Okay. So in 2020, only a select few were invited to gather in person to see the ball drop. This year, there will be more, but now nowhere near the crowd. And back in 2019, this year's crowd in Times Square will be limited to 15,000 revelers who are all vaccinated and required to wear masks. I apologize. 2020 to 2022.
I know.
It's
to be fair, it's felt like the last 21 months have all been 2020.
Exactly.
All right, time now, 5:38, 68 degrees out.
Well, still ahead, we're looking back at some of the biggest weather events of 2021.
And speaking of weather events, taking a live look out at the Alamo City. Hot and humid finishing out 2021. So what does 2022 bring? Katie Blake's going to explain in just a bit.
In your morning consumer headlines, you'll keep paying more for many items at the grocery store next year. Prices are set to rise on everything from mac and cheese to mustard, from juice to Jell-O and canned soup. Analysts estimate prices will rise 5% in the first half of 2022. It's part of what businesses and economists are calling the highest inflation in decades.
All right, so if you're thinking about investing to maybe pay for costs offset by inflation, discontinued Lego sets may be the way to go. Here's the info that backs it up. Researchers at Russian University found high-value collectibles proved to be a better investment than gold, art, or even certain financial securities. Those researchers noted that retired Lego sets that sold on secondary markets saw prices grow by 11% year over year. Now, for a lot of financial equities, that is faster rates, also including gold, stocks, and bonds. According to researchers, those who invest in Legos long term, they can yield positive returns 2 to 3 years after retirement.
Can you imagine just like going up to a store and paying in Legos? Or a Lego set.
Just bartering with Legos.
Look, I have this Lego set from 2020. It was a rough year.
Time now, 5:42, 68 degrees out.
Up next, we're looking back at some of the biggest weather events the nation saw this year.
2021 was a year of deadly weather extremes as the West battled unrelenting drought, dozens of wildfires, the East facing lots of rain, lots of flooding.
And of course, in our area, we saw a whole bunch of snow we don't normally see. CNN's Chris Wynn has a closer look at this year's weather.
Weather in 2021 showed up in superlatives across the country. Hottest, coldest, wettest, driest, deadliest, and with hurricanes, one of the busiest. 21 named storms, including 7 hurricanes. Back-to-back storms, Henri and Ida, slammed the Northeast, shattering all-time rainfall records. In August, Henri weakened to a tropical storm, yet still drenched parts of the Northeast. That same week, a staggering amount of rain in Tennessee, unrelated to the hurricane, triggered flash flooding that killed at least 21 people. A 1-2 punch. Just days later, another hurricane came to do even more damage. Ida slammed into the Louisiana coast as a strong Category 4 with 150-mile-per-hour winds.
You could still just hear everything ripping and flying and banging, and people's roofs were coming off, and we prayed that we would all live.
Ida was just getting started, moving inland, dumping too much rain too fast. More than half a foot of rain fell in just hours, causing massive flooding. In New York, subway stations turned into waterfalls, streets into rivers, highways turned into swamped parking lots.
Oh my God! That turned into the biggest single hour of rainfall in New York City history with almost no warning.
The flooding killed at least 60 people across a handful of states. Many drowned in basement apartments. Losses from Ida topping $70 billion. While the East had too much water, the West had too little. A summer of record-breaking triple-digit heat and severe drought fueled more than 100 large wildfires. Smoke so intense that winds pushed it as far away as New York. In California alone, wildfires scorched more than 2.5 million acres from January through November, straining firefighters.
Nothing like 25 years ago when I started. Almost every fire we have now, you're bringing in other units, the Forest Service, our local government counterparts.
All hands on deck as workers at Lake Tahoe's Heavenly Ski Resort resorted to using snowblowers to wet the area, hoping to fend off flames. California's Dixie Fire, the state's second largest ever. Flames threatening the world's largest sequoias. Recent fires destroying as much as 19% of the iconic trees. Temperatures went to extremes. Much of the U.S. shivered through the coldest February in more than 3 decades.
It's all about survival right now until it starts getting warm.
The polar vortex brought historically cold weather to states unaccustomed to low temperatures. In Texas, dozens of people died because of the extreme cold, snow, and ice. Months later, the hottest summer on record, tied with the Dust Bowl in 1936.
Can you believe this?
And just days before the year ended, a rare and devastating December storm. An outbreak of more than 50 tornadoes tore a path of destruction across 8 states, killing dozens of people and leaving entire towns in ruins.
I think it's going to be the longest and deadliest tornado event in U.S. history.
The town of Mayfield, Kentucky, gone. A candle factory there completely leveled, killing 8 workers.
I watched some people die that didn't make it. My question is, why?
And in Edwardsville, Illinois, an Amazon warehouse collapsed, killing at least 6 workers. One twister stayed on the ground for more than 120 miles, was a mile wide, and packed wind speeds up to 190 miles per hour. The drastic U.S. weather patterns mirrored around the globe, prompting this from the United Nations Secretary General.
We face a stark choice. Either we stop it or it stops us. And it's time to say, enough. We are digging our own graves.
A harsh warning about increasingly harsh weather. I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
All right, no question, it has been a wild weather year, but our weather department has been on it through and through. And so, we were talking about earlier, Justin Horn did a great article on KSAT.com, Katie, about the craziest weather that we've seen in South Texas.
Yeah, each year we kind of do a little powwow and think back and rank the top weather events that we as the weather team can think of, and this year was pretty easy.
Yeah.
We had, of course, February's winter storm. We had severe weather this spring, and some flooding events mixed in there. So Justin, we all talk about it, but Justin did the legwork, wrote it all up, included photos and video, so you can find that rundown of our local weather events on KSAT.com. Right now, it is definitely worth a look back. Temperatures as you head out this morning, it is still warm and it's still humid out there. Notice we've got some 50s from Carrizo Springs up to Rock Springs. Not too bad, but that's also where the dew point is in those locations, so it feels very humid. So even though temperatures are in the 50s, it feels awfully muggy. Winds are a bit lighter west of 35. That's where we've seen some patchy dense fog set up this morning, so keep that in mind. The dense fog is likely to stay west of the interstate again this morning. Elsewhere along I-35 and off to the east, we've got a halfway decent breeze, so that's pretty nice. Visibility in Bexar County, San Antonio is looking good, 10 miles. We are starting to see some patchy fog set up across Kirk County down to Bandera County, even a slight drop in visibility from Hondo to Castroville, 4 to 5 mile visibility, but that is still just fine. Any dense fog that could be potentially hazardous out on the roads, again, should be west of I-35 this morning. The low clouds are back and they'll erode as the morning goes on, and by this afternoon we'll see some more sun. What I want to point out here is out off to the west from Eagle Pass up to Del Rio, some high cloud cover is starting to filter in from the southwest. So as our low clouds go away this afternoon, we will see some high thin clouds in the sky, but they'll still allow for plenty of sunlight to get on through to warm us up, set us up for another unseasonably warm late December day. A little bit of light precipitation up in far north Texas there and Oklahoma. There is a low pressure system and cold front. That is not the strong front that will really cool us down this weekend. That one is still way to the north and several days away. But what I want to point out here is this yellow line. This is a dry line. It separates really humid, moist air on the eastern side from very dry air off to the west. And this feature is going to try to move into our area late tomorrow into Thursday. So today we really won't see any change in our humidity. It will stay humid into the afternoon and evening. So even as the clouds clear out this afternoon, it'll be warm and muggy through tomorrow morning. Also still humid. So we're looking at another round of morning clouds, patchy fog and drizzle for your Wednesday. But during the day tomorrow, this dry line is going to try to drop south, kind of close to the Highway 90 corridor, but it is going to stall over south central Texas. So this will create a bit of a spread in our humidity levels, especially by Thursday afternoon. Along and north of Highway 90, we're likely to catch a break in the humidity, but those south of Highway 90 and especially down closer to the Gulf of Mexico will stay pretty muggy into Thursday. So that'll be a little feature to watch for our weather on Thursday. After that, New Year's Eve on Friday, humidity shoots right back up. So if you do get a break from the humidity Thursday, it will be short-lived. We're muggy again by Friday, but then look what happens as we get into the weekend. An even more significant drop in dew points for everyone. With our strong front that will move through late Saturday into Sunday, our dew point numbers are going to absolutely tank this weekend into early next week, and that will play a part in your New Year's weekend forecast. So, of course, New Year's Eve on Friday, warm and humid. Afternoon highs back near 80 degrees. And in fact, it will stay warm into Saturday, but humidity will start to fall later in the day as our front moves through. By Sunday morning, we're in the upper 30s, low 40s. Sunday afternoon, only warming into the mid 50s with a gusty north wind. But skies will clear out heading into Sunday, and then potentially cold enough for San Antonio to see its first freeze, possibly early next week. I'll show you that in just a second. First, another look at your Tuesday. Morning clouds will give way to afternoon sun, a high near 80 once again today with plenty of humidity. Now let's talk about that potential first freeze early next week. San Antonio, the airport, has not had a freeze yet, but it's possible with very dry air, clear skies and light winds Sunday night into Monday morning next week. We could see our first freeze there. We'll keep a very close eye on those temperatures for you in the coming days, and we'll be fine-tuning the forecast as the weekend gets closer. So cold weather lovers, you've got to wait a few more days, but it's on the horizon.
All right, Katie Blake, thank you so much. Time now, 5:54, 68 degrees out.
All right, let's take a look at these lotto numbers. Pick 3, 051, Fireball 6, Daily 4, 3604, Fireball 8.
All right, cash 5, 10, 11, 19, 23, 27. And your Texas two-step, 13, 20, 31, 33, big number 28. And here we go, 400 million. Powerball 36, 38, 45, 62, 64. Powerball 19, Power Play 2. Good luck. We'll be right back. Good morning. Welcome back. Still a lot ahead here on GMSA. Newly released body cam video shows moments leading up to a tragic officer-involved shooting at a Los Angeles department store. We're going to have the latest on that story and the latest on a deadly plane crash in the San Diego area. We have everything that you need to know so far. All right, but before we take a quick break, a live look out at the roadways. Calm and quiet out there right now. It is mean and muggy in the weather department. Katie Blake joining us throughout the morning, having what you need to know before you step out the door.
Two teens are in the hospital recovering after they were shot from the back. Good morning, I'm Alicia Barrera, and coming up, we have the latest details from police live from the city's south side.
I'm ABC's Emwin in Washington. The CDC is issuing new guidance for asymptomatic patients of COVID-19. That and how Omicron is spreading rapidly across the nation. Coming up.
68 degrees, another warm start, the end of December. Hey, Katie Blake is in for Mike Osterhage, but she says, guess what? Next year, we're going to see some of those colder temps.
Live from KSAT 12, Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Good morning and happy Tuesday. It is December 28th. 2021 is almost over, and you and Katie Blake both alluded to it. The dad jokes, they're out and heavy this year.
I know. Hey, see you next year.
See you next year. You know what we might see next year, Katie Blake? Some freezing temps.
Yes, our first freeze for San Antonio. It is way, way late. But I do want to mention parts of the hill country have already had their freeze. Even places like Hondo and Uvalde have already had a freeze. Coldest we've gotten is 34 at the airport. So technically San Antonio hasn't had a freeze
When was
yet.
that 34?
Oh boy.
It's a while ago.
Of course, like a few weeks ago.
Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot.
I'll have to go look. It was a few weeks ago. Yeah, we're way behind for our first freeze, at least as far as San Antonio goes. And that is possible as we get into early next week, Sunday night, Monday morning. So still a ways away, but the potential is there, and it's something that we are closely watching. One of the few things that we are closely watching as we get closer to the weekend, awaiting our next strong front. For now, still unseasonably warm and muggy this morning, just shy of 70 at the airport, overcast skies. Humidity is high, and normally that would lend itself to some fog. Not seeing a lot of it around the city currently, but there is some patchy, dense fog west of 35. So anywhere from Cotulla, your visibility is down to 0. Also 0-mile visibility in Rock Springs, 1-mile visibility in Del Rio. So west of 35, that's where we've got a dense fog advisory until 10 o'clock this morning. Please keep that in mind if you'll be heading out on the road. You could encounter some dense fog, and remember to use those low beam headlights. Temperatures elsewhere, low 60s in the Hill Country, 61 Rock Springs, 63 in Cotulla. We'll see another very impressive warm up today after we lose the morning clouds. Sun this afternoon will help to boost our temperatures here in San Antonio to near 80 degrees. But like the past few days, those that clear out sooner could easily see afternoon highs climbing into even the mid to upper 80s, well south of Highway 90. All right, let's look ahead to next year. The first of the year will still be fairly warm, so you can keep the short sleeves around all the way through Saturday. But by Sunday, I want to have the jackets and sweater. That's when we are really going to cool things down. We'll talk more about this cold front and your full forecast in just a bit. Guys.
Thanks, Katie. Taking a look outside on our road. Stephen Cavazos is off this morning. But here's the good news, like Katie alluded to, yesterday and the day before that Sunday, really, the fog was really bad and doesn't look like we're having too much of those same conditions this morning. If you're out and about, please stay safe. And this morning, San Antonio police are investigating a shooting at a park that sent 2 people to the hospital.
Police initially called out to the 300 block of Phelps Boulevard just before 2 a.m. Alicia Barrett joins us live on the city's south side with the latest details on this double shooting. Alicia?
Good morning. Well, at this hour, no more crime scene tapes, so it makes it a little hard to pin down exactly where that shooting took place. Again, this is a city park. It was supposed to be closed during that hour, during that shooting when it happened around 1:45 this morning. But it's surrounded by a chain link fence, and then it leads to a neighborhood, so it might not be hard for people to jump over. The shooting, again, happened around 1:45. We know the victims are between 16 and 19 years old, so very young. Police say it was here around 1:45 where those victims were shot from the back. Police didn't say if the teens were running away or if someone may have snuck up on them, but one teen was shot in the back of the head, the other was shot in the back. Both were taken to BAMC Hospital. The victim shot in the head is in critical condition, while the other at this hour is listed in stable condition. But this investigation is ongoing. Police right now trying to track down a shooter or shooters in this case. They say that they took off in a black Kia Soul. Again, we talked about it earlier this morning. This park, it's fairly well lit, but the neighborhood around it is not, so that make it hard to speak to witnesses if they saw anything around that hour. Reporting live from the city's south side, Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Alicia. Also new this morning, we now have the mugshot of Jonathan Wright, the father who disappeared with his 3 children in Medina County last week. Now, Jonathan Wright was caught and his children were found. Wright will be extradited to North Carolina on pre-existing charges. Medina County deputies tell us that Wright has several warrants for crimes against minors. All 3 of his children were found safe and their Amber Alert has been discontinued. Now, police found the children in the Rio Medina area. EMS evaluated them. They are safe and sound. Police plan to reunite them with their mother.
And a reminder, 3-year-old Lena Kill has still not been found, and the search is not over. She was last seen playing at her Northwest Side apartment complex 8 days ago. If you have any information about where she might be, you're asked to call SAPD's Missing Person Unit. That number on your screen, 210-207-7660.
Now to the latest on the pandemic and the Omicron variant that continues to spread. The CDC issuing new guidance about isolation times for those who test positive.
Plus, the shutdowns, a race to get tested, and the impact of the virus on the world of sports as the new year approaches. ABC's M. Nguyen has the latest.
Good morning. Already, we're seeing the new wave of COVID-19 disrupt different sectors. In business, Apple is reportedly closing approximately 20 stores nationwide, about half of those in New York. In sports, the NFL has more players infected this month alone than all of last season.
Cases of the Omicron variant surging across the nation. The U.S. now averaging more than 206,000 new COVID-19 cases each day. The CDC updating its guidance for asymptomatic Americans who test positive for COVID, cutting the isolation period in half, from 10 to 5 days. Then wearing a mask around others for another 5 days. Dr. Anthony Fauci telling CNN.
We want to get people back to the jobs, particularly those with essential jobs, to keep our society running smoothly.
I think we have very good evidence that most people, particularly those who are vaccinated and boosted, are not contagious for that long.
The wave of new COVID cases prompting a rush for testing. Long lines, some lasting hours, spanning blocks, in some cities, maxed out sites. Children's cases are rapidly climbing as well. Nearly 200,000 more kids tested positive for COVID last week.
Meantime, Dr. Fauci also suggests it might be time to require proof of vaccination to fly domestically, saying it's not only safer that way, but it also might add another incentive to get more people vaccinated. Emwin, ABC News, Washington.
And we're staying on top of the coronavirus here in Bexar County. Head over to KSAT.com for the latest case numbers, information, and vaccines.
That's right. All right, so new this morning, a 14-year-old in custody after a convenience store shooting in North Texas. That shooting left 3 teenagers dead and a 4th in critical condition. Garland police releasing surveillance camera of the suspect entering the store Sunday night, and they entered with a .40 caliber pistol. Investigators say he fired at least 20 rounds, killing 3 teenagers. Those teens, the ages of 14 years old to 16 years old. Police looking for a second person who left the scene in a white truck seen in the surveillance video. The motive for the crime still not clear. There was no robbery and still unclear if the shooter knew the victims. Well, a new video showing the moments before a young girl was killed during a police-involved shooting inside a Los Angeles department store.
She was with her mother in a dressing room as police responded to reports of a man carrying a gun, and it turns out the man did not have a gun.
We do want to let you know some viewers may find this video disturbing. ABC's Andrew Dimbert reports.
This morning, Los Angeles police releasing dramatic video of the moment a teenage girl was killed in a police-involved shooting at this department store.
Hey, she's bleeding! She's bleeding! Hold up! I got her!
Police last Thursday were called to the Burlington store in North Hollywood for a disturbance.
I had a hostile customer in my store attacking customers. Everybody, evacuate the building!
In the video, you can see the suspect, Daniel Elena Lopez, acting erratically. At one point, he's holding a bike above his head. He's then seen attacking customers on the escalator before making his way back up to the shopping area. Police enter the store with guns drawn. As they make their way to the second floor, Lopez can be seen ambushing a shopper and attacking her with what police describe as a heavy-duty bike lock.
I got her!
With those 3 shots, Lopez falls to the floor and would later die at the scene. But police say one of those bullets penetrated through the wall behind Lopez, entering a dressing room, striking and killing Valentina Oriana Peralta. The 14-year-old was there with her mother, trying on dresses for her birthday.
We at the LAPD would like to express our most heartfelt condolences and profound regret for the loss of this innocent victim.
The officer who fired the shot has not been identified, but officials say he's now on paid leave pending a review. The shooting inciting outrage in the Los Angeles Latino community, echoing a similar incident in 2018 when Melita Corrado was fatally shot by an officer as Los Angeles police were pursuing a suspect at a Trader Joe's supermarket. The DA's office later determined the officer acted lawfully and would not face charges. A fundraising website has been set up for Valentina's family. They're holding a news conference with civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump today. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Topping your morning consumer headlines, you'll be paying for many items at the grocery store next year. Prices set to rise on everything from mac and cheese to mustard, from juice to Jell-O and canned soup. Analysts estimate prices will rise 5% in the first half of 2022. It's part of what businesses and economists call the highest inflation in decades.
Well, the Salvation Army needs your help to reach their Red Kettle campaign goal. So far, they've raised about $350,000, but the goal is $500,000. The money raised will go towards programs that benefit those in need here in and around San Antonio. So if you'd like to help them reach that goal before the end of the year, you only have a couple days left, you can give a cash donation on their website. You can also mail a check to their headquarters on West Elmira Street. Time now is, wait for it, there we go, 6:11, 67 degrees out.
Well, still ahead on GMSA, are you in the market for a new phone?
No.
Well, a new version of an old favorite is on its way. We'll have the details.
And a local high school program that is training the next generation of EMTs. Why they're doing it, that's next.
67 degrees at 6:12 this morning. Another muggy start to the end of December. Katie Blake is here for Mike. She says, hey, we're going to have some cooler temps on the way. She'll explain when we come back. Local high schools are hoping to combat the EMT shortage impacting our area by training seniors in high school to become EMTs.
That's right. So students at a program at Edison High School can become certified EMTs by their graduation day.
The program is in its second year at Edison. Students in the class need to pass prerequisites and complete 150 classroom hours, 48 hours on an ambulance, and 14 hours in the ER.
Here's the thing. If they pass the state certification test at the end of the year, they can walk off the graduation stage and walk right into a career.
We can help feed those shortages by offering the kids the program here, and then they go right out and get the jobs.
A similar EMT program with Northside ISD has seen about 100 students complete the program. About 50% of them have actually entered the EMT field.
Edison High staff hopes to do the same with their program. In today's Tech Bites, what's been trending on Google this year? Data shows the most popular subject for searches in 2021. It's actually the NBA. The top trending news search for the year is Mega Millions. Everyone wants money. And among people, number one was Kyle Rittenhouse. Tiger Woods and Alec Baldwin held spots at 2 and 3.
All right, Motorola reportedly working on a new version of a foldable phone instead of just a flip phone. So there's a few details about this phone, the third generation Razr, but it is expected to feature better processing power and a more user-friendly interface. Motorola revived the Razr in 2019 and improved it last year. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, just keep it in 2004.
That's fair.
I never got a Razr, but all my friends who did get Razrs, they broke them instantly.
You know, our local Razr enthusiast, Katie Blake. Katie, what are your thoughts on this one?
I appreciate that they're really still trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to take many people away from the iPhone.
That's fair. All right, before we check in with the full forecast, let's take a look out at the roadways.
Yeah, Stephen Cavazos is off this week, and I know we've been dealing with a lot of fog in our area. Katie said earlier that this morning we're really not having to deal with that, especially inside San Antonio. Does look like there's quite a bit of people waking up and getting on the roads this morning, but hey, if you're out there, stay safe.
Yeah, some folks heading out. We should be fine with visibility in and around San Antonio and Bexar County. It will be west of 35, similar to yesterday, that the densest fog will be possible. I want to start off with yesterday's pollen count. We'll get in today's pollen count sometime between about 7 and 9 a.m. And as soon as we get it, I will send it out to the KSAT Weather Authority app. So make sure you have that downloaded and ready to go. Yesterday's pollen count showed high counts of both mountain cedar and molds. With high humidity, it's not really a surprise that molds were high, and we could see both of these numbers stay elevated today. Looking ahead, though, toward the end of the week and the weekend, with our next strong front coming through late Saturday, we could see mountain cedar be very problematic again this weekend thanks to a gusty north wind. So speaking of high humidity and fog, we do have some patchy dense fog. Again, mainly west of 35, 0-mile visibility in Rock Springs and Cotulla, 2-mile visibility in Uvalde, 1-mile visibility in Del Rio. But we're doing just fine here in San Antonio. No fog being detected this morning, mainly because we've got a decent breeze in place. When winds are calm or very light, that helps the fog to develop a little bit more. But when we have a decent breeze, fog is less likely. So that's likely why we're doing pretty good around San Antonio this morning. We do have a lot of clouds out there, though, and those, just like the past few days, will linger through midday, start to clear up closer to lunchtime, and then we'll be partly cloudy to mostly sunny this afternoon. You'll notice a few more high, thin clouds skirting on by today. High temperatures will be back near 80 for a lot of us, so unseasonably warm for this time of year. Once again, we're going to basically do that for the rest of the week. The cool down is not until the second half of the weekend, so we'll probably start to sound kind of like broken records here in the weather department. It is 72 in Gonzales, 61 in Uvalde. Keep in mind, our air temperatures can't be any lower than the dew points. They can be the same as the dew point, but our air temperatures can't drop any lower than the dew point number. So because our dew points are pretty high for a lot of us, they're in the mid to upper 60s. That's why we're just not really cool out there this morning. Our dew points will take a bit of a tumble late tomorrow into Thursday. There will be a little dry line stalling out over the area. That's going to try to drag in some drier air for some of us. So a brief break in the humidity Wednesday night into Thursday. That'll also give us a break from some of the morning fog and cloud cover early on Thursday. But by New Year's Eve Friday, humidity shoots right back up. Friday will be a warm, muggy day. But then this weekend, with our strong cold front late Saturday into Sunday, look at these dew point numbers. Technically, they're lower than what our little graph here provides, down in the 20s and teens late this weekend, early next week. So this front coming in this weekend is going to be the real deal. Now, we've got some active weather across the central portion of the country. That will not be affecting us. That's going to move off to the east and away. And we've got a nice cold air mass across the northern tier of the country. Gosh, it's 25 in Seattle this morning, 11 in Minneapolis, and below zero across parts of Montana and North Dakota. So a cold air mass is there. It's just going to take its time moving south. So through the end of the work week, even through New Year's Day on Saturday, that cold air mass will stay to the north, but it will be allowed to drop south Saturday night into Sunday. It'll get to Texas late New Year's Day into Sunday, and that's when we'll see our temperature drop. So chilly in the afternoons, but cold in the mornings. Look how our morning temperatures change heading into the weekend, near 60 all the way through New Year's Day. And then by the 2nd, we're in the low 40s, but with lighter winds settling in Sunday night into Monday morning. That's when we could potentially see our first freeze, our first official freeze at the airport here in San Antonio and for a good portion of the San Antonio area. So that's something we're keeping a close eye on. That front will bring some very noticeable changes for the first few days of 2022.
Ooh. 81 to 34. What a day.
Let's go.
Thank you, Katie. 622, 67 degrees out.
Well, still ahead on GMSA. Go Spurs, go.
Go Spurs, go. Leaving it all on the court last night. We're going to have the highlights and also shouts to Jordan Clarkson, San Antonio's very own.
I recommend Nature Made vitamins because I trust their quality. They were the first to be verified by USP, an independent organization that sets strict quality and purity standards. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand.
Okay, everyone, our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Ensure complete balanced nutrition with 27 vitamins and minerals, and Ensure Complete with 30 grams of protein. Don't settle for products that give you a sort of white smile. Try Crest Whitening Emulsions for 100% whiter teeth. Its highly active peroxide droplets swipe on in seconds. Better, faster, 100% whiter teeth. Shop CrestWhiteSmile.com.
All the serums out there, this is the #1 in the world.
Revitalift Hyaluronic Acid Serum from L'Oreal. It seriously hydrates to visibly replump skin and reduces wrinkles. Effective for all skin tones. Revitalift Hyaluronic Acid Serum from L'Oreal Paris.
All right. Hey, welcome back. Go Spurs, go. Spurs putting their 3-game win streak on the line last night, taking on the Utah Jazz, and of course, Jordan Clarkson. But here's the thing. They come up just a little bit short. There he is. Jordan Clarkson, Wagner, great Jordan Clarkson. He had a 3, and then here we go. Jazz taking a 2019 early lead. Unfortunately for the Spurs, that's pretty much how the night would go. Clarkson scoring 23 on the night. That'd be enough to lift the Jazz over the Spurs 110-104. San Antonio, 7 of 26 in the second quarter, failing to make a field goal. Remember, point guard DeJounte Murray, he was out for the second straight game. He is in the league's health and safety protocol. San Antonio had scored at least 110 in the previous 10 games. So next up, Silver and Black trying to rebound to Tomorrow, they are hosting the Miami Heat. Tip-off set for 7:30 at the AT&T Center. So there you go. It is a long season. We are still in the playoff hunt. Remember, to make the postseason, you only need to be in the top 10, and then you have that little playoff to get in the playoffs.
Let's go Spurs.
Go Spurs, go. 6:26, 67 degrees out.
Well, still ahead on GMSA, a fiery crash leaves 3 siblings dead, and the 4th is in the hospital. The wreckage caught all on camera.
And we're going to have an update on the overnight shooting on the city's south side that ended with 2 teens in the hospital. Elisa Barrera has been staying on top of the story. She will join us live with the details.
As the coronavirus Omicron variant continues to spread, more and more children are getting hospitalized. We'll have the latest on the pandemic.
And back here at home, taking a live look out at the Alamo City, 67 degrees. Are we going to see a cool down before 2022? We're going to check in with Katie Blake in just a few moments.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, December 28th.
I feel like I'm standing way too close to the camera.
Yeah, I think you are.
Yeah, I'm going to back up for a little bit.
Get on your spot.
All right, there we go.
Max.
There we go. I can back up, but can the temperature cool down? Oh.
So you asked, are we going to see a cool down before 2022? No.
Okay. Hard no.
Got to wait a few more days.
That's fair.
I was reading some comments on Twitter because I said, you may have deja vu because today's forecast looks a lot like yesterday's and the day before that. And really, we're not going to see much change for the rest of the week, but we will get a cool down.
There you go.
Eventually, but we'll have to wait until next year. I'm gonna be saying that a lot this week. We'll have to wait until next year. 71 at Stinson this morning, 64 Rio Medina, 62 in Bandera. That's about where our dew point numbers are as well. So yes, it still feels quite muggy outside. Winds are out of the south. We've got a pretty good breeze, especially places like Canyon Lake and New Braunfels sustain wind near 12 miles per hour, 9 miles per hour at the airport. West of 35, winds are a bit lighter, and that has allowed fog to pop up west of 35. So if you're about to head out in Bexar County, San Antonio, things are just fine as far as visibility goes, but off to the west of 35, some patchy fog, even some patchy dense fog will be possible, and there will be a dense fog advisory in effect until 10 a.m. from Gillespie County all the way down through Uvalde County over to Eagle Pass and Maverick County. So please keep that in mind if you'll be heading out west of the interstate this morning. You could run into a little bit of patchy dense fog. Today, another warm day. The morning clouds will give way to afternoon sun yet again, and that'll boost our highs to near 80 degrees in many places. Those that clear out a little bit sooner could see highs in the mid to upper 80s. So the unseasonable warmth continues, not just today, but also tomorrow, Thursday, another warm day, but that'll be the day that some of us see a drop in humidity. That's kind of a weird forecast. I'll walk you through that in just a little bit. Looking ahead to New Year's Eve, looks like a warm day, but our strong cold front is still in the forecast, and it is on track to move through late New Year's Day, setting us up for a cold start to 2022 really by the 2nd of January. We'll talk about this and more coming up in a bit, guys.
All right, Katie Blake, thank you so much. New this morning, 2 teenagers in the hospital after a shooting on the city's south side. Police called out to Kingsborough Park. That's just inside South Loop 410, 300 block of Phelps Boulevard. Police tell us the victims, 2 teens, ages 16 to 19 years old. Officers on the scene telling us the first victim shot in the back of the head. Moments later, the second teen shot in the back. Police say it is not clear if it was 1 or 2 suspects, but at least 1 person got into a black Kia Soul and drove off. The 1 victim shot in the head is in critical condition. That second victim listed as stable.
Also new this morning, San Antonio police say a man was shot in front of his apartment during an apparent drug deal. This was a situation around 10:30 last night. This is the 4000 block of Horizon Hill near Callahan on the city's northwest side. Police say the man was taken to the hospital in critical condition. SAPD says a bullet went into a window of one of the buildings nearby, but nobody was hurt in that apartment. So far, police have not said if the suspect has been found.
Now to the latest on the pandemic, we are keeping a close eye on new COVID cases here in Bexar County. So here's a look at the latest numbers from the Department of State Health Services, not Metro Health.
The state counts both confirmed and probable cases. It's reporting 957 new cases, 259 people in the hospital, 81 people in the ICU, and 37 on ventilators. Metro Health will go back to reporting on Monday.
All right, so COVID tests are not the only things difficult to come by nowadays. Regional infusion centers throughout Texas are out of monoclonal antibodies. So the Texas Department of State Health Services made the announcement yesterday. The centers being affected right now are in El Paso, Fort Worth, Austin, and right here in San Antonio. People who had appointments should get contacted. Officials can't offer the treatment until a new shipment arrives, and that's not going to happen until 2022. Monoclonal antibodies are given in the early stages of COVID. It can also be effective in less severe cases to help keep people out of the hospital.
Well, a third of people fully vaccinated have gotten their booster. That's according to the CDC. It equals out to about 66 million people have gotten their booster shot. More than 61% of the U.S. population is fully vaccinated. That's people of all ages, more than 205 million in total. A little more than 22% of the eligible population, which is everyone 5 and up, has not had even one dose of the vaccine. Now, currently, more than 1 million doses of the vaccine are being given every day.
All right, and as this highly transmissible Omicron variant continues to spread, more kids across the United States, they are now getting COVID.
And as Britt Connor reports, children's hospitals are bracing for the worst.
On the heels of holiday celebrations, heading into the new year, Omicron is spreading. Cases are rising, and now more kids are getting hospitalized with COVID-19. And we're closing in on the record high for pediatric hospitalizations set in September. In Houston, children's hospitals say they're getting ready for more kids with COVID to fill up beds there. With one pediatrician saying, "I think we are going to see more numbers now than we have ever seen." An attending physician and infectious disease specialist at Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital in Chicago says case numbers there are 3 times as high as the hospital's previous peak last December. In Cleveland, the director of pediatric infection control at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital says effective monoclonal antibodies, a life-saving treatment, is in short supply. State data shows New York City pediatric hospitalizations increased 5-fold over a 3-week period. And in D.C., the infectious disease chief at Children's National Hospital says close to half of the COVID-19 tests that they're doing are coming back positive. But it's not just these cities. Nationwide, on average, pediatric hospitalizations are up 35% in just the past week. Hospitals are bracing for a busy January as health experts continue their vaccination plea.
All done.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Caught on camera, a fiery crash in New Jersey leaves 3 siblings dead. It happened on Sunday night at the Atlantic City Tollway. The cell phone video shows huge flames and smoke from that wreckage. Crews say the victims are a 31-year-old man, a 27-year-old man, and a 14-year-old girl. We're also told their youngest sister, a 12-year-old, who was in the backseat, survived with non-life-threatening injuries.
New this morning, crews investigating the aftermath of a deadly plane crash in San Diego. So according to the Times of San Diego, the Learjet 35A came down last night in a neighborhood. We're told this is a deadly crash, but still unclear how many people were on board. We also know the aircraft took out several power lines, burst into flames when it crashed. Now, we expect to follow this story throughout the morning, so make sure to stay with us online and on air through our later newscasts.
In Colorado, police say 4 people are dead this morning. At least 3 others were injured, including an officer after a shooting spree in 2 cities last night.
We were just inside the store and heard like 1 gunshot and then like a whole array, and it sounded like they hit the side of the building. And then obviously a bunch of cop cars, and they came out and swooped us into the back.
Police say it started in Denver, where there are 4 shooting scenes, and it moved into Lakewood, just west of Denver. There was a shootout with police chasing the suspect's car. He later escaped. Police say when officers caught up with him, he shot one of them. The suspect was eventually shot and killed. The officer who was shot is undergoing surgery. There's still no word on the motive behind the shooting spree.
Well, staying in Colorado, a truck driver sentenced to 110 years in prison for that explosive crash that ended with 4 people dead in Denver. Well, he is now one step closer, potentially, to have his prison sentence reduced. So a judge on Monday rescheduled a hearing for January 13th to reconsider Rahel Aguilera Medero's sentence. So following an unusual request by prosecutors to revisit the sentencing matter. One of his lawyers saying that the defense needs some time to do research to see if any similar cases could help guide their approach. His prison term has drawn outrage from across the country and even amid truck drivers. Around 5 million people have already signed an online petition seeking clemency for him. Time now, just about 6:40, 68 degrees out.
All right, we finally done it, guys. We reached the final week of 2021. So what are some things you should take care of before 2022? That answer just ahead.
Good morning and welcome back. 2021 has seemingly flown by. So as we look ahead to 2022, what are some of the most important things that can actually save you time and save you money next year?
And what loose ends should we tie up before December 31st? Erica Hernandez has your end of the year checklist.
As 2020 winds down, what items on your to-do list would you like to get squared away?
Be able to dedicate myself more and get like my dream body because I want to work out.
I'm always working on my finances. Experts say before the end of this year, you might want to build a budget for next year, analyze how you spent your money last year, and make necessary adjustments. It's also a good time to organize your photos and emails. Delete the ones you don't want and back up the ones you do. And take a good look at the apps on your phone. Many subscription apps have automatic payment schedules, so you might want to cancel the ones you don't use. Services like Truebill and Trim allow you to view all of your subscriptions in one list. Now is also the time to get your receipts together for tax purposes. Having all of your paperwork in one place will make the process easier. You might want to make any last-minute donations to boost your deductions. If you didn't see your doctor or dentist for a checkup, try to squeeze an appointment in before the year's end. And it's also a great time to change the batteries in your smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
And speaking of the new year, preparations are underway for the New Year's Eve celebration in New York City.
That's right. So this week, workers are checking each one of the 32,000 LED lights in the 12,000-pound crystal ball. It is a true labor of love maintaining and caring for all 2,600 Waterford crystal triangles that cover the ball. Take a look at that.
I know, it's impressive. In 2020, only a select few were invited to gather in person to see the ball drop. This year, there will be more, but nowhere near the crowd back in 2019 before the pandemic hit.
All right, so this year's crowd in Times Square will be limited to just 15,000 people, all vaccinated, and everyone in attendance will also be required to wear masks. Have you figured out what you're going to do for New Year's?
Staying at home.
Okay.
Staying safe.
Avoiding everyone.
Pretty much.
That's definitely fair. All right, well, back here at home, let's take a live look out at the roadways. Let's see, 6:45 this morning. Are we going to get the roadways?
No, we're still celebrating, man.
I guess so. There's always a reason to celebrate.
I do want to say the people in charge of those Waterford crystals, the pressure of not breaking any of them.
Oh, yeah. We're stuck on. There we go.
There it is. Hey, Katie.
Hi.
Katie, what are
Good
your plans for New
morning.
Year's?
Good morning. Oh my gosh. So after, last year for New Year's, everyone was pretty much at home. So we spent it in our pajamas on the couch. And I was like, after this, you will never get me out doing anything ever again. So probably just a repeat of last year.
Nice.
It was great. I mean, come on. PJs.
Champagne.
Yeah.
In PJs, cats. Yeah,
pets. I don't know. Speaking of New Year's, let's get you your forecast for the weekend. So we're going to jump ahead a few days. We do have cooler weather on the way, but not until the 2nd of January. So for New Year's Eve, it'll be a warm and humid day. High temperatures back near 80 degrees. More morning clouds and fog on Friday morning. By Friday evening, Friday night, we're looking at partly cloudy skies, temperatures in the 60s. So we'll start off near 60 Saturday morning, up to the low 80s Saturday afternoon. So another warm day to start the new year. But our strong cold front that we've been talking about will move through Saturday evening, and that will cool us down big time for Sunday. So cooler air is on the horizon, or colder air, I should say, is on the horizon, but it's still several days away. For now, we are gray and muggy out there this morning, still sitting near 70 degrees at the airport. South winds pumping in that humidity. It's 70 in New Braunfels, also 70 in Pleasanton, some low 60s off to the west. Winds are light in many places, but we've got a decent breeze from Fredericksburg down to Kerrville over to New Braunfels. So that's kept a lot of really dense fog from developing in places like San Antonio, Bexar County, visibility is good from Seguin up to New Braunfels, in and around San Antonio and Bexar County. So if you're coming in from the east this morning, things will be just fine as far as the fog goes. If you're coming in from some of our westernmost communities, you may run into some patchy, dense fog. That's where we have lower visibilities this morning. The cloud cover is extensive, as has been the case the past couple of days. So we'll start off with gray skies this morning. But as the morning goes on, this cloud deck will really start to wither away, and we'll see some good sun this afternoon. So the low clouds will break up, but we will keep some high, thin clouds that are moving in from the southwest around through the day today, but we'll still get plenty of sunshine in here to help warm us up this afternoon. A look across Texas, we do have a low pressure system and a cold front. That is not the strong front that comes through this weekend. What I want to point out with this system is this yellow line here. That's a dry line, and that separates really moist, muggy air from dry air. The humid air is on the east side, the dry air is on the west side, and this will have a little impact on our humidity over the next couple of days. Today, we all stay very muggy all day long. Through this time tomorrow morning, also still muggy, so some more fog, some patchy drizzle will be possible to start the day on Wednesday. Later in the day, Wednesday into Thursday, this dry line will try to move into our area, but it's going to stall out somewhere possibly along the Highway 90 corridor. So this will create a spread in our dew points as we get into Thursday. So those of you well to the south of Highway 90, especially closer to the Gulf Coast, will be stuck in muggy air through Thursday. But some of us will see our dew points drop a little bit, and that'll take the edge off the humidity very briefly on Thursday. But it'll get humid quickly again by New Year's Eve on Friday. Then that strong front swings through this weekend and tanks our humidity heading into Sunday early next week. Very, very dry air along with colder air will move in behind that strong front this weekend. Again, that's still several days away, so another kind of wash, rinse, repeat day for us today. Morning clouds giving way to afternoon sun, an unseasonably warm day, and we'll keep your afternoon highs near 80 essentially through New Year's Day. And then the big changes set in. We go from low 80s Saturday afternoon to the mid 50s Sunday afternoon, potentially the first freeze for San Antonio coming up Sunday night, Monday morning of next week.
All right, so just gotta wait a little longer.
Patience. It's a virtue, I think.
Something like that.
Something.
Katie Blake, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Time now, just about 6:50, 67 degrees out.
Well, coming up tomorrow on GMSA, our If These Walls Could Talk series continues with a story about an artistic tribute to our San Antonio Spurs.
All right, speaking of sports, Valero Alamo Bowl set to kick off tomorrow night. Oklahoma representing the Big 12. The Sooners holding their practices at the University Incarnate Word. Freshman quarterback Caleb Williams, well, remember, he replaced Spencer Rattler in that Red River Showdown against Texas. If you're a UT fan, you remember the game all too well. I'd say it's a nightmare for you. He rallied the Sooners to win 55-48. So this season, Caleb Williams throwing for more than 1,600 yards, 18 touchdowns. He also rushed for 400 yards and 6 more scores. On the other side of the ball, at Trinity University, the Oregon Ducks, they are practicing there. They are representing the Pac-12 in the Alamo Bowl. The Ducks will be without some 30 players for the Alamo Bowl. We are dealing with injury, transfers, opt-outs, and other unknown reasons. So 17 of those players who are opting out or not playing, they're on defense, which could make it tough for the Ducks to stop the Sooners. Here we go. Oregon taking on Oklahoma tomorrow night, 8:15, of course, at the Alamo Dome. And just in case you want to know, Oklahoma is now favored by 7 points.
Taking a look outside with live cam, 67 degrees. It's getting warmer, isn't it? I think so. At 6:51 this morning, Katie Blake saying things are going to cool off next year.
This SA Salutes holiday greeting is brought to you by Walk On Sports Bistro.
Hi, I'm Chef Leonard Brown. I want to wish my cousin Devin Wilson a Merry Christmas. I appreciate your service. I love you.
Good morning. Coming up on GMA, troubling new numbers on COVID cases amongst kids as CDC announces new guidelines for quarantining for people who test positive and are exposed to COVID, as those long isolation periods cause major disruptions among airlines and other businesses. Dr. Jha joins us with the latest. That plus much more coming up on GMA. We'll see you soon.
We're going to take a quick look out in the roads before you head out to work this morning. Well, actually, we're just going to check in with Katie Blake.
There you go. Katie, what can drivers expect?
Yeah, there really is not much to see on the roads. We've got the low clouds, so the skies will be gray as the sun starts to come up and things get a little bit lighter out there. But the dense fog is west of 35. So if you're coming into town from the west, you may run into some patchy dense fog. Otherwise, things are good around San Antonio and Bexar County. A couple more really warm days here, unseasonably warm. A little break from the humidity on Thursday. That'll give us a break from the morning fog, at least for one day. Warm and muggy again New Year's Eve, and then our strong front arrives New Year's Day evening. Cool us down big time by Sunday.
All right, 81 to 34. It's jarring to see the difference.
Yeah, yep. That's how we do it.
All right, Katie Blake.
Hey,
thank you
guess
so much.
what?
Huh?
Max, Katie, and I will be back at 9 o'clock on GMSA.
All right, we'll see you back here at 9 a.m.